watching Dr. Guitar Show for all you guitarists out there. In today's episode, I'm bringing you my brand new Studio Vintage Marshall. It's kind of a plexi meets a JTM 45, but more towards the plexi side, but in a 20 watt format. It's the perfect gigging amp. But first of all, let me thank my dear patrons who supported this show. And if you want to become a patron yourself, you just go to the link, follow the steps, super easy. You'll be getting early access to the episodes, a free video lesson every week, and a free backing track every month. And of course, my huge thank you. I'm also teaching via Skype or Google Meet or whatever platform you like. So if you're interested in guitar lessons or vocal lessons with me, just hit me an email and we'll follow it from there. This is a beautiful, beautiful, small, tiny amp. I love the format. I love the power of it. It's just 20 watts. It has a high and low setting, and the low is practically the same as the high, with a lot less punch, of course. Let me go through the settings, and if you have been watching the show, you know how I like to review amps and how I like to test amps for the first time. I always take off all the EQ and check what's left so we know the character of the amp. Let's go. Here we have a 2-channel setting like a plexi amp. So this is the bright channel, this is the normal channel. I'm not really sure why they had it back then. Maybe for brighter guitars or darker, like to have an option, or for bass and then guitar. Usually the normal channel is a little too dark for me, and the bright channel a little too bright. But let's go. Let's plug in to channel loudest 2, which is normal channel, and let's take off all the controls, see what's left. So you can hear the nature of this amp is dark. It's kind of woolly. It has not a lot of bass. It has no treble at all. Mid-range, but low mid-range. So in order for us to make it sound kind of normal, at least in my ears, I would have to go up. First I would go up in treble. And it's almost there, but it's still too... Let's check what the mid-range does. Okay, so treble and mid-range all the way up. Great. Presence in a Marshall is kind of like a treble, but with a different EQ position, and it's after the power amp, so it's a different treble-y thing. Now it's a little boxy. Let's check what the bass does. So take all off and just bass. It just gives it a little body. Let's turn all the way up. I'll turn the treble just a tad down, and then have a little more bass. It's there. It's the Marshall tone, the vintage Marshall tone. So great sounding thing. Let's push it all the way up. Let's turn it to the low position so you can hear the volume difference, although I think in YouTube and with the mics capturing it, it won't be noticeable. But it really makes a huge difference here in the room. The high setting, it's almost unbearable for too long. It's kind of too loud already. With this setting, you have the same energy but way quieter. So it's great for studio recording, where if you record like I do here, I don't have a control room because I don't like control rooms. So I record in the same room as the amp. This is perfect. Let's test the other channel. And just for comparison, let's turn all the EQ off and hear the normal channel again, the loudness too. Channel 1, which is the bright channel. This is the Jimmy Page channel in an amp to me. It sounds bright. It sounds a little. It's lacking a little bass in the room, but in a band context, that's perfect. But the great thing about an amp with 4 inputs like this is that it can use a tiny patch cable to jump the channels. So if I use this cable to go, if I plug into channel 1 and then use this cable to go from channel 1 to channel 2 or vice versa, this means I'm taking the signal a parallel out and putting it in the other channel 2, which enables me to plug the 2 channels at the same time. This allows me to get like all at noon, for example, and then just balance the tone with the volume on the loudness 1 and loudness 2. So for example, I'll turn off loudness 1, the bright channel, and here's the normal channel. A little too woofy. Let's give it a little love by the loudness 2, 1, so the bright channel. Man, and this is a rock amp. And if I turn it to the low side, you get the same. On the other side, if you're looking for a clean amp, this is not the thing. This is that amp at the very, very, very max. This is an amp on the edge of breakup. It cleans really well with your guitar volume, so I can get a clean tone with the guitar on 5, for example. 7. If you play gentle, and then you can have like a EQ pedal. I have the Behringer here on my studio pedal board to clean it up. So to take a little off, let's do it. Take a little volume down. then when you want, you turn it off and it's your drive tone. You can also use a compressor to do that. I have the Dip 6 here. I usually use it in the opposite way to give it a little boost, but I can turn down the volume and it will clean the amp. So here's the amp with the Dip 6, and now turning down the volume on the Dip 6 a lot. So it's cleaning, but then turn it off. It's kind of countersense, but you can use pedals to turn down the volume instead of boosting the volume. And a compressor or an EQ pedal are great tools for that, as you can see. And it takes really well pedals like the King of Tone going into it. So this is just a Marshall. King of Tone. Russ Effects Copenhagen Bender. An Octafuzz by the great guys at Jupiter Effects. This is the Silver Machine. Wah-wah, my Buddha wah. Just a little boost by the Soul Food modified by JHS. So you get it. Let's hear it with the Les Paul. With the Les Paul, I like to use the Lava Cable Ultramafic because it's a brighter cable. Have a listen. It's a rock and roll tone machine. With a Les Paul, you can go way louder on the second channel. So just the second one. So this is just the bright channel. Let's use both all maxed out. If there was any doubt that this is a really, really great amp, I think it's solved. I love how it blows out when you use it, and I always go for that on a vintage amp to test like how it acts on palm muting on a chord like a. I like when in a vintage amp when it's not modern. I think that's the biggest difference. Oh, let me turn it off. I think that's the biggest difference between a modern amp and a vintage amp. For example, in the Royal Atlantic, the Mesa Boogie, the low end is tight. You can really chug, and it's really tight. On a vintage amp, it farts out. It's like it can't handle. So it sounds a lot like Zeppelin and Black Sabbath to me, which I love in a rock amp. Well, my friends, that's it. I hope you have liked it. This is the Studio Vintage 20, the combo, the 1x10 combo. You can also get it in a head format. I've been almost going for the head and speaker because it's beautiful. It's like a mini stack, but then it's too big for these days, for today's settings of gigging. So I think the combo is way more versatile, and it costs like 100 euros more than just the head. So you get a speaker and a cabinet for just 100 euros more, and you can always buy the cabinet and use it as a head. It's lovely. I really like it. I use it a lot here in the studio. It's a really, really great rock and roll amp, and it's actually substituting my master lead, this one here, the one up there, because it's way quieter, way smaller, and you can get it to sound great without being as loud as the master lead. So it's a great option to have in the studio, but also to gig in the clubs and small venues. And if you go to bigger venues, you just get two and you're done. Well, my friends, hope you liked it. See you next week. Don't forget to subscribe and leave the thumbs up and click the bell if you're liking the episodes. That really helps. See you next week. Bye-bye.